That fucking nobody is John Wick.
We've seen the John Wick franchise escalate itself each film, not even in terms of action, but storytelling and characters. John Wick 1 was more grounded and took a basic plotline and made it more than meets the eye. Setting up in an alternate world, John Wick 2 further elaborated on this world, introducing the accountants, high table, and markers, which are pretty much a blood deal. You do something for someone, you owe them back. Then the third film introduces even more, such as the Elder and the Agitator. I don't even think the James Bond films had this much world building, and they have like 20 something movies. And John Wick only has like 4 films in its entire franchise. It's actually pretty insane in a way.
Yeah.
It went from a simple, you kill my dog, well you're fucked.
So you can either hand over your son, or you can die screaming alongside him!
To you kill the head of the Council of Assassins, now you got the entire assassin empire after ya. John Wick 4 years later, raises these stakes for John Wick himself, and he's basically at war with the table plus a $40 million bounty on his ass. So let's have a look at this long-awaited sequel, shall we? A spoiler warning, by the way. The movie begins with John riding in the desert, and this is a perfect time for my theater to lose power, not even choking. Everyone in the theater, all they could hear was gunshots, people dying, and dialogue for about a good 15 minutes. But luckily the theater were kind enough to rewind the film for us, and yeah, John shoots the Elder point blank in the head, and this kicks off the events of John Wick 4, because he pissed off the council. Anakin can relate.
What?
The High Table sends the Marquis, played by Pennywise, and the Marquis isn't the Agitator, by the way, but a much lower level than High Table, but a much higher level than the Agitator herself. He's sent to make sure John is dead, and he's a sadistic prick who punishes Winston by blowing up the New York hotel and killing Chiron. The theater pretty much was left in shock, a notable figure in the franchise dead in the first 10 minutes. And it hurts even more knowing that Lance Reddick passed away just a week ago. Rest in peace, Lance. Winston wants revenge on the Marquis and turns to John, who knows how to handle a vengeful blood. But John is stuck at the Continental in Japan fighting alongside his good friend Shimazu. Sorry if I butchered that name. They're fending off the Marquis, and Kane, who's taken as a close person of John and Shimazu, is facing off against them because Pennywise pretty much has him hostage as his daughter's life is at stake. He kills Shimazu but fails to kill his longtime friend John Wick. Winston speaks with John to do Pennywise 101. He can be lifted of his freedom and Winston can have his New York hotel back. But John must be part of a family who has a position at the High Table. He meets up with Kaida, a member of the Ruskarama. He seeks his uncle, but his uncle was killed by Kila, played by Scott Adkins, who's clearly in a fat suit and looks like the fucking penguin. John makes a deal with his tribe that he'll kill him if he can be part of the Ruskarama. Once again, he visits Kila and finds Kane and Mr. Nobody, who's also after John Wick for the nice dough. But Kila plays all parties and a fight at the club breaks out. John is after Kila and oh man, that man can move. But John obviously kills him by tossing him down the stairs, forcing him to land straight on his head, and takes a piece of a gold teeth as evidence that he has killed him. This allows him to get crested by his tribe and become part of the Ruskarama. He visits Pennywise and to lay out conditions for their duel at sunset. But Pennywise lists John's excommunicado as a final night to get the bag. And oh man, this entire hunting down John was everything you can hope for in a John Wick movie, or any action film for that matter. I mean, you got John fighting assassins on streets like it's Street Fighter or something, and he's using Dragon's Breath shotgun, clean rooms, something you'd find in a mission from a Call of Duty campaign.
Bravo 6. Going dog.
They really upped the choreography and the camera work for this movie. Gonna be sidetracked from the plot a bit. This is definitely the best action film to date. I'm not even joking, not one of the best, the best. It's clear director Chad Stahelski wanted something different with the action and go bigger. That's the main reason why everybody wants to see in these films. They want to see the action progress. And oh boy, this was like going to a playground for the first time as a kid, because he incorporated various forms of fighting. And not once did I get annoyed at the fact that Not only does John have that bulletproof suit, but many other assassins take hold of this, make it even harder for John to fight against these guys, and it actually creates a lot of tension in moments. It's like from Batman Begins when Jim Gordon is talking about Batman about criminals escalating once Batman escalates himself, and such as Batman upgrading his equipment. You start wearing Kevlar, and they're gonna be buying armor-piercing rounds. Yes, it's a non-stop action in this movie, and I fucking love it. And the action actually peaks at the end with the whole roundabout in Paris, with cars driving by ramming into every assassin. When John fends off the assassins on the streets, the money increases, and uses the Dragon's Breath shotgun. We get this very cool shot where it hovers over the floor, and John is just crushing assassins with the shotgun. This entire action sequences are like from a video game. You enter a hot zone, clear the hot zone, and move up a level with a different objective. And you face a swarm, it's a repeated step with a different feel. You complete the objective, and the movie shines on that idea, putting everyone on the edge of their seats. Alright, back to the story. He fends off the marquee men on the stairs, and with the help from Kane, and the two actually have to prepare for their duel, as Kane was nominated by Pennywise to participate in the duel for him to ensure his daughter's safety. The entire final conflict is straight from an old western film. John is badly injured, and Pennywise, being an arrogant asshole, not my words, that was Winston's, fails to realize John never shot his weapon and gets a blast in the head and dies. Kane gets his daughter's safety, Winston runs New York again, and John is actually free from his bounty. But the loss of blood slows John, and seeks a promise from Winston to take him home, and he falls on the side laying unconscious. The film cuts to Winston and King at a graveyard that says John Wick, a loving husband. So he might be dead, might be not. The movie leaves it open, because when the King asks about where he might be, heaven or hell, Winston says he doesn't know. It's a clever ending where this can be a film that ends the franchise, at least the story for John Wick. And it can also work as a potential sequel for John, in which, as a big fan, it's a nice way to end things. One way to describe John Wick Chapter 4 is it takes the best aspects from each previous film and blends it very well. Well, plus elevating the action from 0 to fucking 10. Even the new characters, in which there's a lot that are executed very well. Mr. Nobody is a tracker who has a dog with him. His entire purpose is to kill the Baba Yaga. But near the end of the film, when he is in straight firefight with John, one of the marquee henchmen is about to shoot his dog. And John, instead of shooting Mr. Nobody, he shoots the marquee's henchman, pretty much saving Mr. Nobody from going through what John went through. Kane is a blind assassin, retired, forced to return for his daughter's safety, and fights his close friend Shimazu and duels with John, another friend of his. He kills Shimazu in front of his daughter after begging for Shimazu to stop pushing the fight given his injuries. This entire scene is actually what makes Marquis's plan very sadistic. It pushed the man to kill his close friends for his daughter's safety. Winston is Winston. He's pretty much a father figure to John, also a man who has nothing left to lose since he got his hotel blown up. But despite everything him and John went through, he still sides with John, especially now that he's on a eventual path to take down the Marquis. I love that connection between them that has progressed and progressed. The first film didn't show Winston too much, the second film showed him a little bit more, the third film gave him a lot of focus, a lot of character building, a lot of his history, and the fourth film delves more into his origins, what he possibly could be. The fourth film definitely fleshes him out a lot, and I love that. Now let's talk about the man, the myth, the Baba Yaga. I don't know if you can make the stakes higher for John, and the movie knows it can't get bigger than this. It's a nice seal for the way it ended. All his life he's been a vengeful spree of a life he lost, the first dickhead at killing what's left of his wife. The moment he said, "Put on my grave a living husband," it sealed the possibility of him dying in this one. And actually, what a way to execute it. The movie throws once John kills the Marquis and gains his freedom back, what peaceful life does he have left to turn to? All he is a killer. He's not a peaceful man. He's a stone cold killer. That's who he was all his life. And that comment about his grave pretty much is the final shovel on his fate. It's a nice end to beautifully laid films, creating a magical, wonderful world which could easily have failed from making a fourth film like more franchises have dealt with, but not for John Wick. It knew where it needed to begin and end. This is not a sugarcoat. Easily the best one of the franchise. It has something for everyone. If you love gunfights, you'll get that. If you love martial arts, you'll love this movie. If you love classic Japanese sword fighting, you'll love this movie. Mixed in with great visual, an amazing complex world filled with captivating characters. No better way to cap off John Wick's story. A complete slap to modern Hollywood action films nowadays as well, and it's beautiful. Go watch this movie if you haven't, and yeah, goodbye.
It was just a fucking car, just a fucking dog.
Just a dog.